Okay, let's get started. Welcome everyone to the River's Edge. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing Kimberly Hausbeck. She wrote a book called Intentional, where she teaches you all the different tools in manifesting. She trained for 6 years as a shaman, and she is recently certified in the magnetic mind. Oh, and I forgot, she started as a lawyer. How did that happen? Welcome, Kim.
Hi, Kelly. Good to be here. Thanks for having me on.
It's an interesting background to go from lawyer into the spiritual world. How did that even happen?
Honestly, I think it was a progression. I've always been interested. Okay, I was an odd child. At the age of 8, I started reading New Age books, and so I read books on ESP, on witchcraft, on paganism. The first book I actually read was Richard Bach's Jonathan Livingston Seagull at the age of 8, which is a slightly odd book to be reading at 8 years old. But I think I always had an interest in the true nature of reality, which sort of translates into rules, the laws that make reality work. And so I think initially I went into the civil law in terms of society law, but really what I was looking for was, how does our everyday existence work, and how can we best get through it in a way that's pleasant and abundant and satisfying and joyful.
And how long did you do practice law before you made the switch?
I was, 1989 was when I entered the law, and I left in 2013. So what is that?
Long time, 15 years, 14, or
24.
No.
24.
Don't ask me to do
Wait.
math. It's like 10 years.
89 to 99, 24 years.
That is a really long time. And then you did in 6 years. So did you study for a shaman while you're still doing law?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So I started bear in mind, it's a traditional shamanic path. It's not a New Age path. So it was 6 years of training that began in, I guess it was 2000. So 2000
okay.
to 2006.
That's a long time, 6 years. I don't, is that standard though, to become a shaman?
For a traditional shaman, yes. A full tradition that's complete has many elements, and the first couple of years are all about self-healing. So you go in before you come back out and explore other things that you do with the outside world. As far as New Age shamanism goes, it's a little different. Most New Age shamanism traditions have a different approach.
Okay. And you did that, and then from there you went into magnetic mind? Is that?
Yes, that's actually something I discovered just this past January, so January 2020. And I resonated with it because it really connected, it was consistent with my shaman tradition, which is called the Makers. It's a tradition out of Europe. And so I've just finished my certification for magnetic mind just last week.
Oh, yay! Woo, fully certified.
Yeah.
That's exciting. So did your teacher help draw? Did you know your teacher before you did, or you just read about it and you were drawn to it? Because the teacher can make a really big difference too.
The magnetic mind?
Mm-hmm.
I was on YouTube at some moment in January, and I don't normally watch ads. I actually have a browser, the Brave browser, that cuts them out. And at some point, though, I was on Google Chrome, which doesn't cut out the ads, and I saw the beginning of an ad on the Magnetic Mind with Chris Duncan. He's a New Zealander who now lives in Australia. And normally I just, after 4 seconds, you can skip the ad, right? Normally I do, but even the first 4 seconds, I was like, whoa, what's that about? I actually watched the entire ad, which was
it on a YouTube?
yeah, it was a YouTube ad, and it was several minutes long. and I was hooked.
Oh, nice. I saw one of his videos. He's well spoken. I like him. Red hair, right? That guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's got a Scottish background, so he's got the red hair.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. Yeah, I like him. Oh, that's cool. So I was just going to ask you one thing. It has nothing to do with magnetic mind. You said you don't get commercials on Brave, but you do on Chrome.
Right, the Brave browser. It's Brave.
How do I not know this?
This is probably the most important thing I'll say during this entire interview. So listen up,
This
people.
is I pay every month to not have YouTube videos. I mean ads.
Oh no! If you just type in, go ahead and use Google Chrome to type in Brave browser, and you'll see that you can download
some kind
it.
of kickback from Brave.
Well, actually, there's a program where you can earn points. Yeah, so there is actually sort of a cryptocurrency thing going on with it. But Brave was created by one of the dudes that also created Foxfire back in the day.
Yep.
And it's essentially Brave is an overlay of Google Chrome, so you can access all the same things you could on Google Chrome, but you do it without the Facebook ads and the YouTube ads, and
wow,
and it's free.
Yay! All right, I don't want to spend time on your browser. That was just a nice little tidbit. Thank you.
Right.
So I want to hear how magnetic mind works.
Do you want the history or do you want more the functionality?
Just functionality, like if someone, who would be your ideal client? How would someone,
I would think,
what would make someone come to you?
honestly, my ideal client would be someone a bit like me, which I guess makes sense because that's why I was attracted to it. Someone who has maybe worked with the law of attraction, and so they're familiar with some of the concepts of, like attracts like, and we create our own reality, and we are the ones who are in control, but they also might be someone who's found that they have unconscious blocks that they haven't been able to work around, so that they reach a certain point and then they start to run up against obstacles.
Would that be like someone who doesn't have enough confidence or doesn't make the money they want to make, or they can't get the right job?
Right, or the right relationship, or they're working on a health issue and they see some progress with the law of attraction, but then they hit a wall. And what the magnetic mind does is, most law of attraction approaches function by either working with the conscious mind, so I'm going to be positive, I'm going to talk in an affirmative way, I'm going to not look at life from a negative position. So either working with the conscious mind or trying to work with the unconscious, perhaps using hypnotherapy or anchoring with NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. And most approaches stop there with law of attraction. What magnetic mind does is it goes around both the conscious mind and the unconscious mind to what we call the superconscious. So the superconscious, your conscious mind, your conscious mind is that part of you that stores your conscious memories. Your unconscious goes back a bit further. It is what you came into the world. It functioned as you came into the world when you were born. But the superconscious goes back even further. It's what connects you to your past lives. It was you before you were born into this particular incarnation with its particular awareness. So the superconscious also connects you to your family line, genetically, your biology. It connects you to past and future lives, and it also connects you to other humans and then beyond. So what we do is as the magnetic mind was becoming The magnetic mind process goes back to the 1970s to a Canadian psychologist. And what he learned is that the conscious mind wants to change. We want to be abundant. We want to have a good relationship. We want to be healthy. We want to have adventures around the world or adventures with our children. But the conscious mind isn't where our habits are stored. It isn't where our core beliefs about ourselves are stored. Our habits and our core beliefs generally are created between the ages of 1 to 7. And that's where the unconscious mind is fully operational. And so it's the unconscious mind that keeps our habits and keeps it's really responsible for our survival. And so if you want to change significantly, you need to get the unconscious mind to cooperate.
So if a little kid grows up eating Cheetos and drinking soda and watching TV every day from 1 until 7 years old, and he doesn't experience life of any kind, so he's going to have to go back, and that he's going to have to deal with that, right, in life. Like when he wants to go out and create fun and get happiness, that's going to be a challenge for him.
Right, because the conscious mind, we consciously want quality of life, but the unconscious mind wants quantity of life. It wants to continue to survive. And if you survived by eating Cheetos and watching TV and never going outside to play, the unconscious mind knows that worked because you're still alive. And any change to the unconscious mind could threaten your survival. And its duty, its job is to keep you alive. So in order to change in a way that your conscious mind wants to, you have to have the cooperation of the unconscious mind. But it's very stubborn, and it's very difficult. And so it's like a war. It can be a war, your conscious mind against your unconscious mind, trying to convince the unconscious mind it's safe to change. And it will increase your satisfaction if you change and decrease your pain if you change.
Put down the Cheetos.
Right. So what we
chance.
Yeah, but what we do is we go around to the superconscious mind. We speak to the superconscious in a certain type of process and procedure, and we ask the superconscious, it's the power that created you. It's the power that when your sperm and egg met, gave the instructions for that cell to turn these cells into your liver, turn these cells into your heart, turn these cells into your lungs. So it's the knowledge, the wisdom of how to create and uncreate you. And so we go to the superconscious, we speak to it, and we ask it to speak to the unconscious and ask the unconscious to change. And the superconscious has that power, and it also doesn't have an interest in anything except experience. So it's not opposed to what we ask it to do. All it wants to do is experience. So it's been experiencing Cheetos and TV and inside couch potatoes. So you ask it, well, I want superconscious, I want something else. Superconscious is, another experience. Sure, let's do this. I love experience, regardless of what kind of experience it is, because it doesn't judge. So then it can go to the unconscious and command the unconscious to change, so we can finally achieve what we haven't been able to achieve with some people do have a real easy law of attraction type of experience if they don't have unconscious blocks. But then there are others like us who had childhoods that, what kind of childhood? I had an abusive childhood. I had a narcissistic mother. So I learned all sorts of, I was programmed, if you'd like, programmed in a way that unconsciously, that I don't even necessarily remember, would put blocks on a number of my goals.
Right.
So going to the superconscious, I can now recode reprogram my unconscious so it doesn't fight me, and that it understands that the changes my conscious mind wants to make will increase my satisfaction in life, they will decrease my pain, and I will still survive. So the unconscious is still doing its job.
So is when you call the superconscious your soul, wouldn't that be the same thing? Your spirit? Excuse me.
Some people call it the higher self. Some might call it the oversoul. Some might call it God, the God within. It's really, you can visualize it in different ways, but there is a certain procedure that's been worked out over the last several decades about how to communicate with it in a specific fashion that produces the results you want. So there was a lot of trial and error experimentation in the 1970s when the Canadian psychologist, his name was Gary Flint, he stumbled upon it by accident, like so many types of these processes happen, and he started working with it, and over several decades he perfected how to speak with it. And generally we speak to it in a sense as if it's a child. We use childlike language, so it's not complicated. It's not like we use the phrase, we use two things. First, we have an image of what the mind is like, the unconscious mind, and we say the unconscious mind is like a football field where normally you play a lot of fun games on. But over time, especially in those first 7 years, you have little gophers popping up on the football field, creating big holes on the field, little mounds of gopher holes, and those gopher holes interfere with the play on the field. They could make it even dangerous. If you're running about trying to catch a football and you step in a hole, you might break your ankle. So what we do is we have this image of the superconscious taking a feather and just smoothing out the football field of all the little mounds of gopher holes.
And that
so
would
that
be equivalent to your subconscious programming that's blocking you.
Yes. So we smooth everything out on a particular issue so that you can play on the field without tripping. You can play on the field without having to go slow and avoid, going around the holes or worrying about breaking your ankle. So you can win on that field too, right? So that's one way we speak to it is via images, but the other way is with simplistic terms that now after several decades you have a number of people using the same language, so tapping into the superconscious in the same way that the superconscious understands what we want. So we use simple phrases like, we want a massive change history. So we don't say, we want you to change their...
If I want a new job, can I just say, Spirit, I would like this new job?
Well, we would actually want to first decide, we would first go through with you consciously to see what do you want in the future and what it feels like emotionally to be in that future. And then we would say, well, what is it like now in your reality? And what does it feel like right now in your reality emotionally? Because it's the gap that's really important, the gap between what you feel right now and what you need to feel to create that reality. So we find the gap. That's the first step. Then from the gap, we find out what is creating that gap. And normally it is, generally speaking, something like I don't feel capable of having that life, that reality, those emotions. I feel insignificant, so therefore I can't have that life, that emotions. I'm not perfect enough to feel those emotions or have that life. I am not worthy. So we go through and we find the specific gap. What caused that resistance? Because it's the resistance that we are going to work, it's the resistance to that life and the resistance to the emotions that we are going to work to eliminate. So then we say, well, when's the first time that you ever remember feeling that particular resistance? So we'll go back, and sometimes people will remember, but sometimes they can't get back that far. But we'll work backwards to get to the first time that you can remember feeling that specific type of resistance. Because once you remove the resistance, then you have the flow. And then we'll work on that specific resistance with the superconscious. So we'll say, superconscious, do you see that resistance? Like from that particular incident, I was 5 years old and I was in ballet classes. And at the end of we had a, what do you call it?
Recital.
Yes, that's it, a recital. And, there's a crowd of people. And at the end of the recital, we all got these trophies, right? A little ballerina doll like this big. And in that experience, unfortunately they forgot mine. So this is a true story, and this is actually a resistance I've worked on.
No, we gotta get you a trophy.
Right. So, so all the little girls, they're standing in a line, and they're handing out little doll. Oops, we're out of dolls, and here's Kim, the last one in line, no doll, right? And so then the crowd is laughing. But as a 5-year-old, I didn't realize. Right. So I thought they were laughing at me. I didn't realize. And then not having a doll. See, so obviously for a 5-year-old, they saw it different than I would as an adult. Now I see it differently. But the problem was my 5-year-old perspective was still there and still functioning as a 50-plus-year-old adult. So I had to deal with that resistance and how that inhibited me unconsciously. And so, super conscious, do you see this resistance when Kimberly was 5 and she got left out? She didn't belong. That was my issue, is I don't belong. So do you see this resistance created at 5? And do you see how this resistance has popped up here, there, throughout history? So then we speak to the superconscious, it responds. And then superconscious, would you do a massive change history on this? And then we also do a little bit more. We talk to, there's different parts that we may be talking to. We may be talking to genetic issues with the family, because maybe that experience was formed because genetically, biologically, I have a family lines, which we don't belong, is a energetic resistance embedded in our genes. So we might go and deal with either family issues from socialization or family issues from DNA, to change on a DNA and recode on a DNA level. So it usually takes about half an hour the whole process from what do you want in life? Where are you now? What's stopping you? What's the resistance? It can take an hour and a half to 2 hours for the whole one time.
When you find the way you're feeling, like you found the doll experience at 5 years old, that was the first time you remember something like that, feeling that way, right? But then it would have been recurring throughout life, because once it's there, so you only go through the one event.
I have to be honest with you, it's something I've known was an issue for decades, but I hadn't.
But I mean, when you go back to clear it.
Oh yeah, but I hadn't. Wait, I'm not sure I understand you.
When you were saying let's go, when's the first time you remember feeling that way? And you went to a 5-year-old, right? But you would have felt that way many times in life, because it was maybe first embedded at 5 years old. But when you're doing the clearing, when you're asking spirit to clear, you just start with the 5-year-old, then you go clear all instances past that.
Right. And you actually go out. Yeah. And I mean, when I was a cheerleader, I didn't belong. And when I was on the debate team, I didn't belong. And
you can't list them all, right?
Right. But we also go into the future too, if that makes any sense. So imagine a situation, let me imagine a situation in which in the future, I would not belong if I hadn't have changed, the recoding on that incident. And so we actually go into the future and work sort of through hypothetical possibilities, probabilities. And so depending on how you look at time, we go into the future too with the superconscious. Because for the superconscious perspective, there is no such thing as time. It's all happening at the same time. So we work past, future, and there are ways to work alternative timelines, but it really isn't necessary. You know, once your unconscious starts to realize it will survive if it lets go of the resistance, and it will actually increase satisfaction and decrease pain, because that's important to the unconscious, then you can actually change. But I've known about this incident for decades and just hadn't been able to, you know, various processes, various modalities, various techniques.
Right.
I still hadn't been able to get at what happened there. And I think it was big. It wasn't just that incident. I think it is very much a family DNA thing, and you know.
So you got to look into all, because it wasn't just that event then that would have created the lack of feeling of belonging. So there's other things that contributed to it. So when you're doing this clearing, you're addressing all the other things that could have possibly contributed.
Right.
DNA
right.
and whatnot.
Right.
And then you just keep doing it until you feel a change?
Yes, it depends on, it can depend on the person. Some people, and it also depends on what issue they're working on. Some people can let go of resistance in one session, but it's not uncommon for people to take about 3 months to work through it. And then there are other issues that may take 6 months. It depends on the person, but it's really the only modality I've found at the moment that has pushed me past some of my really stubborn, really like held on to unconscious resistance in an easy manner. You know, you're not in a trance. You don't have to go into a trance. You just sit there with your eyes closed as the person, your coach, is talking to the superconscious. And eventually you can learn to do it to yourself too. At first it's easier to have someone else talk to the superconscious as you learn the phrases that will trigger certain results, but you can do it to yourself too. You can sit there and, superconscious, are you there? Yes, superconscious. You know, you can do the process on yourself.
But it's nice to have someone teach you in the beginning and work with someone, especially like you just said, if you especially if it's something that's emotionally charged, it's easier to have someone guide you, right? And you just lie there or sit there and just do the work, but you don't have to like be in charge.
Right. But it's honestly, I never watch ads on
it was divine
YouTube. Well, and the fact that I didn't just and when I end up stuck on Google Chrome seeing a YouTube channel, that 4 seconds, right? You get 4 seconds and then you can skip ad. But I didn't skip after 4 seconds. I'm like, why am I still watching this? I don't do this. I am against ads. So
funny. And now you're licensed and certified all because of that ad.
I know. You betcha, baby.
That's exciting though. You know, people I'm sure have been going crazy in the quarantine and shutdown, and then other ones coming, and what we keep hearing. So now's a perfect time to work with people, right?
Well, yes, and online is king now, right? Remote is king. I'm actually right now out in the middle of nowhere. I'm in a town right now of about 200 people.
What do you do? Do you know all of them?
No, girl, I've only been here since the last week in May. Okay. So we are, we're meeting people and that sort of thing. It's at Crestone, Colorado.
I hear there's a lot
of
pretty stars there.
Yeah,
a lot of cults there.
Oh, girl. No, there just wasn't.
We don't have to talk about it.
Well, no, there was just an expose on the local cult here. So there was a cult expert just did an expose last week, I think, on the local cult here. So.
Oh, that's interesting. Why are they attracted to Crestone, Colorado?
Well, Crestone has an interesting history that also goes back to the 1970s, where a wealthy couple bought a bunch of land, thousands of acres apparently, to try an experiment in bringing together all sorts of different religions and spiritual traditions into the same place. So even though this is a town of 200, Crestone, Colorado, there are 3 Buddhist stupas here. There are 2 Hindu ashrams. There's a Catholic convent, Carmelite nuns, and then there's an abundance of New Age traditions in the area. So it was an experiment to give the wealthy couple literally gave away land to all these different religions and traditions to try and bring people together to see, you know, can we work together? Right. Can we work together? Can we
I love that.
Experience together?
Okay. And then that's still to this day, people are drawn.
Yes, though there are plenty of people who come to hike the mountains because there's several 14ers, right? Literally just, you can hike up the 14er in a day and back down in a day. So
what elevation are you starting at?
I'm at 8,000 feet right now, but
so 4,000 up. That's a lot.
Yes.
Perhaps I won't do that today. Maybe.
Bring oxygen if you do. Actually, in Crestone, it's not unusual. You're gonna laugh at me. Try not.
What do you have though?
My oxygen.
How does it work? You just put your mouth in there and squeeze?
Oops. Yeah. Like this. Yep. But when I go hiking, you know, if I'm going straight up, I actually have small little ones.
I could use that here at just sea level.
Like these are the ones I take on. So you just, you know.
That's a travel size or something.
Yeah, when I go hiking, because if you go up from 8,000 to 11,000, then up to 14,000, there can be issues. It just helps to puff on air.
I have a question. Have you, in all your training since shaman and whatnot, and your whereabouts, have you run into inauthentic people that are trying to get in the spiritual world? You see so many gurus out there that are using it to their advantage, you taking advantage of vulnerable people. And have you seen any of that in your own experience?
Yes. Unfortunately.
You sound really excited.
Well, it's not only is the answer yes, but I've ended up in a situation where I actually had to address the let's see, what term do I want to use for I've been, because I have a background in law, and also because I'm a traditional shaman versus a New Age shaman. And with traditional shamans, there is a way that you go about working with people, if you want to call it ethics or morals, in terms of how you relate to clients, how you relate to people who come to you. So both as a lawyer who understands certain behavior might actually rise to a crime, whether it would be a misdemeanor or a felony, and also as a traditional shaman who has quite literally no patience with the bullshit that is going on out there, I found myself in a position where I've had to take action to address some bullshit.
Did someone do something directly to you, you mean, or you just see it from you observed it?
When I've had something like that happen to me, like if someone makes a comment or something that's indicative of something inappropriate. So for example, a New Age shaman, if you want a case study in fake shamanism, I've got it for you. So when I encounter that, I'm confident enough in what I know, my experience. Bear in mind, like I said, I've been reading and studying and experimenting and practicing since I was 8 years old. So that means I have 45 years of experience in esoteric information, mystical information, far out information, not so far out information. So I'm confident enough in myself to put a boundary down or to call something out. But I have watched stuff also, and then wondering when to step in or how to step in. That doesn't necessarily take the power away from the person who may also be experiencing the fake shaman, because it's not my place to save the world or save other people when they have an experience they need to go through for their own lessons. So it can be a hard call, but there are times when I feel I've had to do something to address the situation. Right.
So how do people find then the right person to work with? Because if you want to work with someone, some kind of coach on some level, whether it's a shaman or like the magnetic mind coach or whoever, how do you find the right? Because you just don't know. Because I've worked with two different people that were very shady as well, and I thought they had good reviews. That's what I went for. I didn't know anyone personally who would work with them, but
right. It's a difficult thing because, to be honest with you, I have this magnetic mind certification. It sounds so official, and it sounds so impressive. But that was 6 months. I had traditional shamanic training for 6 years. And there is no certificate from that because traditional shamans don't give certificates. It's not how it's done. You know, the tradition is transmitted orally. It's not like you have textbooks to study. It's you practice. And in the end, either you can move energy and read energy and do something, or you can't. It's certificates are irrelevant to traditional shamans. It's just not the way things are done. So, you know, I don't have a certificate for my traditional shamanism, but in a sense, it's as powerful as magnetic mind, and it touches upon certain things that magnetic mind simply doesn't have the ability to do so. So when you're looking for, you know, fake versus real, con man versus genuine, shady sham versus ethical, it can be hard because its certificate isn't going to tell you. Reviews aren't necessarily going to tell you, because the instance in which I had to stand up and finally say something, it was a shaman who essentially used his shamanism to get laid. I'm just going to be honest with you.
gross.
But he wasn't gay. So when men came to him for shamanism, he wasn't trying to have sex with them. So they had a different experience of him. So if you get reviews from men, when they're going to be like, yeah, it was fun. It was great. I had this trip. We went out to this studio and I saw the stars. And then, you know, I had this spirit conversation. They're going to have a different experience. So, you know, 4 stars, 5 stars, because he's not trying to
have sex with him,
right.
do dirty things.
I'm like, you have to understand, as a lawyer, most lawyers swear, and so I obviously wanted to use different words there. But I don't know what the parameters of your
fully open to all cursing.
So I don't want to say it like it is, but you know what I mean when if I were to say it like it is. He didn't want to F them. But women, now if women came with a man, they would also have a different experience, because so long as their partner was there, they didn't get that same experience. So you have single men and couples having decent experiences with the shaman, because he's not going to try and have sex with the woman when the man's there. But then totally different experience with single women coming, and they can't tell from the reviews, right? You can't tell because the reviews are like, oh yeah, great time. Dude knows his alternate history. But so it's in a certain sense, you can't tell maybe externally. I think you have to go within, and you have to, and this actually gets to human design. So I know I'm covering a lot of subjects, shamanism, magnetic mind, but human design is not as well known as many other modalities, but I'm sure some of your audience have heard of human design. Human design teaches you how you are built energetically in terms of your uniqueness as an individual, but then also in terms of type, like where in your body you have to listen to know good from bad, right from wrong, what works for you. The real phrase is what is correct for you versus what is incorrect for you, because what is correct for you could be incorrect for someone else. And so human design teaches you not to listen to the head. The head is not meant, and even shamanism, the other reason I'm into human design is because it's also consistent with my traditional shamanism. And traditional shamanism tells you the mind is not here to make your decisions for you. It's just meant to observe. And your mind, in a sense, has to be put in its place. It is not meant to lead, it is meant to follow. So human design does the same, and it explains different people have different places in their body where they need to check in. For some, it's the gut, but for some people, it's not the gut. You know, oh, listen to your gut. Well, that's only maybe 30% of the population can listen to their gut and get the right answer. There's other places in your body, depending on how you are built energetically, where you need to go to listen to find out what's correct for you and what's not. And honestly, that is what I would recommend to people, is to learn what is called your strategy and your authority. Your authority is what body part do you have to listen to? Because if only 30, even if for people who are getting out of their head, most of them are going to their gut.
Like for me, in my case, in my experiences, I was giving my power away because I was believing that other people know more than I do. I'm not,
Right.
they know more. They're the guru. They know more than, instead of trusting my own instincts. And so that's why I gave my power away.
Right. But it may be because you weren't taught where in your body you need to listen.
Right.
To know what's correct for you and what's not correct for you. So I would say people learn where in your body you need to listen to. And it's not the gut for everyone. It may only be the gut for 30% of the population. So and honestly, even with when I was, okay, traditional shamanism is taught differently than New Age shamanism. And when I was taught traditional shamanism, it was more a conversation. It wasn't a guru teaching students. I mean, yes, I referred to myself as a student, but my teachers were not gurus. From my tradition as a maker, guruship is kind of bullshit. No one knows more than you do about you and your life. So no one knows more than you. Exactly. And that's exactly what was going on. It wasn't, you know, oh, sit on the mountaintop, wisdom, higher vibration. Again, I'm going to piss some people off, but bullshit. What we learned was how to move energy in a practical way to improve our day-to-day life. And that has nothing to do with guruship. So yeah, I think there is a dark side of the New Age. There's a dark side of light workers, or people who claim to be light workers.
One more question on the making the decision, and where is it in your body that you feel it?
I am the sacral authority, so I actually am near the gut, but some people have a spleen position, which is where, so the spleen is not quite in the gut, so they need to go to the spleen for their particular authority. So yeah, I don't know if a lot of people, human design is in its infancy still. It's something that has only really hit the scene since the 1990s. So people have heard about it, and here in Colorado, there are a number of, it really seems to be fairly popular here in Colorado, maybe even more so than California. But it's something that I like it because it
sorry.
I like, puppy!
Jamie, stop.
I like it because it says your power, your knowledge, your wisdom, your truth is inside, and you have the power to find it, and you have the power to use it. Hi, puppies. Which is very important. There's a whole lot of concepts in the New Age that can take you outside of yourself, and that's just not the way that I perceive is right. I think you need to go inside, not outside.
This is just a huge topic because people need to know how to trust themselves. And I speak for myself mostly when I say this. And then some decisions are super easy. I know, yes, 100% I'm doing that, or 100% I'm not. But then the giving my power away has been a issue in the past. I would say I'm much better about it now. But learning how to, or sometimes we have life lessons to learn too, right? That comes into
Right.
play. So then you're like, why did I do that? But then something good will come out of it.
Right. And then also, I think there's a problem with people wanting to control others in order to feed their own ego or their lack of self-esteem. So again, those people, they're going out to feel in. And so even the gurus, the fake gurus, need to go in to find their own answers because they're looking in the wrong place too, if that makes any sense.
Now, hopefully they'll eventually all be found out, to be caught, and one can hope. But we all have our lessons to learn in life, right?
Right. Right.
But good for you for standing up for doing what you felt you needed to do with the other one.
It's honestly, it's actually still it's an ongoing process. It's not over yet. I'm in the muck of it right now. So, yeah.
That's not easy.
No. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for your new business. So how are you going to go get clients? That's the next step now that you're certified and you have so much knowledge and training and background?
I have a website, reality-bending.com. So realitybending.com with a hyphen in between.
Would you do Zoom calls then for if someone wanted to work with you?
Right. You can do, usually it's like a 3-month coaching package. You can do either individual or group. Group is obviously at a discounted price. So it depends on how you want to participate in coaching. Some people really want individual attention. Others actually like the camaraderie that meeting other people in a similar position can bring.
Oh, nice. Okay. So on your website, it'll have the details. I'll put it in the description, but
yes,
how to contact you.
Yes.
And are you staying in Colorado for a while, Crestone?
Well, we are here at least until the end of December 2020. And at that point, because then winter in Colorado in the mountains at 8,000. Right. So there's talk of going to Arizona for the winter. Or Flagstaff. We're looking at both of those to sort of escape winter and keep it warm, then maybe coming back once it gets too hot in Arizona. So maybe, traveling, go north in the summer, go south in the winter.
You are such a snowbird. I know. You need some blue hair now to go with that and drive really poorly.
The blue hair I can do. I don't want to drive poorly. That creates other issues.
It does. Yeah, that's a good idea. Well, that's cool. I'm excited for your new business. Well, if you come to California, come visit.
Girl, you can come visit here, right?
Right. Oh, that's true. I need to go there before. So you're there till December 31st. And maybe afterwards next summer.
Maybe Thanksgiving.
Ooh. Are you going to cook a turkey?
Yeah, the house is huge. Yes.
We're going to You'll be cooking. I'm only coming if there's going to be a lot of food.
Yes. Turkey for sure.
That'll be awesome. All right. Well, I'll get in touch with you afterwards on that. But thanks for doing the interview today. It was really fun.
All right.
Yeah. So we will chat with you soon, and let's do another video later and catch up on how your business is going and any new stuff you've learned and get See if you met any other pervs along the way.
Well, thank you for taking the time to let me, have my moment. It actually, this, just so you know, this being interviewed like this is connected to that 5-year-old the trophy issue. So now I belong.
Does it feel good?
Yeah, it does.
Good. Well, Sammy clearly agrees.
Bye, Sammy. Ciao.
Thanks, Kim. Bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Hi guys, if you like that video, please hit the subscribe button to my channel and hit the notification button, the little bell, and it'll notify you whenever I make any new videos. It doesn't notify you if you just hit subscribe. So thank you very much for listening, and I will see you soon. Bye.
Remember when you told me you believe